Welcome to Bloodstained Stories, where we dive deep into the dark and gripping world of true crime. I'm your host, Joseph, and today we're delving into one of the most notorious and unsettling cases in American history, the Manson family. Led by the charismatic and manipulative Charles Manson, this cult committed a series of brutal murders in 1969 that shocked the nation and left an indelible mark on popular culture. Join me as we explore the life and mind of Charles Manson, the tragic stories of his followers, and the horrifying crimes that brought an era of peace and love to a violent end. Are you ready to journey into the heart of true crime? Let's get started. In the late 1960s, America was gripped by a series of murders so brutal and bizarre that they shocked the nation and exposed the dark underbelly of the counterculture movement. At the center of this horror was Charles Manson, a charismatic yet deeply disturbed man who orchestrated these killings through his devoted followers, known as the Manson Family. The group's reign of terror culminated in the infamous Tate LaBianca murders in August 1969, marking one of the most chilling episodes in true crime history. Charles Millis Manson was born on November 12, 1934, in Cincinnati, Ohio. His early life was fraught with instability, neglect, and brushes with the law. By the time he reached adulthood, Manson had spent more time in correctional institutions than out of them. Despite his criminal background, Manson possessed a magnetic personality and a knack for manipulating others, qualities that would prove deadly. By the mid-1960s, Manson had relocated to California, where he immersed himself in the burgeoning counterculture scene. He envisioned himself as a messianic figure, combining elements of religion, pop culture, and apocalyptic prophecy to attract a devoted following. His teachings were a twisted amalgamation of his interpretation of the Bible, Scientology, and the music of the Beatles, particularly their song Helter Skelter, which Manson believed foretold an imminent race war. The Manson family, composed of mostly young women and a few men, lived a communal lifestyle under Manson's authoritarian rule. He used a potent mix of drugs, psychological manipulation, and his followers' yearning for acceptance to exert control over them. This control led to a series of heinous crimes that would cement their place in infamy. Significant incidents in the Manson family's criminal activities include Gary Hinman, July 27, 1969. Music teacher Gary Hinman was held captive for days and ultimately killed by Manson follower Bobby Beausoleil, with Manson's direct involvement. The murder was intended to frame the Black Panthers, sparking Manson's envisioned race war. The Tate murders, August 8 to 9, 1969, in a brutal attack at the Beverly Hills home of actress Sharon Tate. Manson sent followers Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian to kill everyone inside. The victims included Tate, who was 8 months pregnant, her friends Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojciech Frykowski, and a visitor, Stephen Parent. The scene was horrifying, with pig written in Tate's blood on the front door. The LaBianca murders, August 10, 1969. The following night, Manson, dissatisfied with the chaos at the Tate residence, personally selected the LaBianca home as the next target. He directed Watson, Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten to kill Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. Again, messages were scrawled in the victim's blood, including rise and death to pigs. The investigation into these murders was initially hampered by the seemingly random and senseless nature of the crimes. However, a break came when Susan Atkins, arrested on unrelated charges, bragged to her cellmates about her involvement in the Tate murders. This confession led detectives to the Manson family and their hideout at the Spahn Ranch, a decrepit movie set outside Los Angeles. Further evidence, including fingerprints and the testimony of Linda Kasabian, who had been present but did not participate in the murders, solidified the case against Manson and his followers. Kasabian turned state's witness, providing crucial details that linked the family members to the gruesome crimes. The trial of Charles Manson and his followers began in June 1970 and was a media spectacle. Manson's bizarre behavior, including carving an X into his forehead and his attempts to disrupt the proceedings, only added to the macabre fascination. The defense's attempts to portray Manson as a misunderstood guru failed, as the overwhelming evidence and chilling testimony painted a picture of a manipulative, malevolent figure. In January 1971, Manson, Watson, Atkins, Krenwinkel, and Van Houten were found guilty of first-degree murder. They were sentenced to death, but their sentences were later commuted to life imprisonment when California abolished the death penalty in 1972. The Manson family murders had a profound impact on American society, marking the end of the 1960s counterculture's utopian idealism. The crimes exposed the dark side of the era's experimentation with alternative lifestyles and the potential for charismatic leaders to exploit vulnerable individuals. Charles Manson remained a figure of fascination and revulsion until his death in 2017. His influence extended into popular culture, inspiring numerous books, films, and documentaries. The legacy of the Manson family serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of blind obedience and the capacity for evil within charismatic leadership. The Manson family's crimes stand as some of the most shocking and senseless in criminal history. The brutality of the Tate LaBianca murders, orchestrated by a man who saw himself as a harbinger of apocalyptic change, underscores the terrifying potential of manipulative and malevolent leadership. The story of Charles Manson and his followers continues to captivate and horrify, reminding us of the fragile line between societal norms and the chaos that can ensue when those norms are subverted by twisted ideologies. Reflecting on the Manson family's crimes, we are reminded of the importance of critical thinking, individual responsibility, and the vigilance needed to prevent such atrocities. The victims of these senseless acts are not forgotten, and their memory serves as a powerful call to ensure that the lessons of this dark chapter in history are never lost. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Bloodstained Stories as we examined the terrifying and tragic saga of the Manson family. If you found this deep dive into one of America's most infamous cults compelling, please subscribe and leave a review. Your support helps us bring more in-depth true crime stories to you. Follow us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. Have a theory or a case you'd like us to cover? We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring the mysteries of the true crime world.